This is the devastating morning of April 3rd, 2000, when a community awakened to find their most cherished place of worship burned to ash. It was a simple accident, a fire stemming from only a candle. But the effects in the Cathedral of the Virgin Mary and its congregation were devastating.
Much of the building was destroyed and almost everything was lost,
ruining a historic building and tearing at the hearts of anguished parishioners.
Unfortunately, though, many of the icons in the cathedral were badly damaged.
More than 100 firefighters were called to the scene at the time of the blaze. Flames as high as 15 meters swept through the 92-year-old landmark, bringing down the original roof.
It is dark times like these that truly test an individual's character, a community's determination, and a family's faith. This is the remarkable story of a community that should have been shocked into lifelessness, demoralized and overcome with grief by this tragic event. But instead, they emerged stronger, closer, and more inspired than ever before. The Cathedral of the Virgin Mary, also known as Panagia, is a Greek Orthodox cathedral located in the West End of Toronto and opened for worship in 1961. In the 39 years leading up to the fire, almost every emotion was experienced under Panagia's iconic embrace as she blessed countless weddings, funerals, and celebrations inside the warm enclave of her wooden pews, columns, and balconies. Simply put, this cathedral was both a beautiful and significant pillar of the community. So when the last of the flames were finally snuffed out by the Toronto Fire Department, re-entering the building was a painful experience. A literal treasure trove of collective memories and experiences, seemingly erased overnight.
It was utter devastation when we walked in. There was nothing left in the altar. The first thing I did is I looked up, the mural of the Virgin Mary above the altar, she was gone. And my first initial reaction was, the Mother of God has left us. She's abandoned her church. I walked up with the fire inspector and I says, where did this fire start? He pointed, he says, it was right in front of the icon of the Blessed Mother. So when we walked up, I saw a hole in the floor, which is exactly where it would have started, and everything went up in flames from there. But the flames went straight up and burned off the ceiling.
We knew then that things needed to be done and we needed to act relatively quickly. And I'll never forget the words of Father Peter at the time. He said, the church is not the bricks and mortars you see before you. The church is the people. We are the people. Our church will survive and we will rebuild.
But the community of Panagia was not going to let this tragic event deter them so easily. Immediately, a plan was set in motion. The first step was cleanup and investigating which artifacts survived.
In the original church, they were glued right onto the wall, so we had to carefully peel them off the wall and get them cleaned and repainted, especially the ones that were badly damaged. This icon here, you can see still the canvas has been wrinkled because of the heat of the fire, but we were able to at least do what we could to preserve it.
The icons that we have here up on our balcony of the mezzanine are the icons that were preserved from the fire.
Saving what they could, the cathedral's next step was restoration. And despite the complex nature of this work, it also offered the most potential. However, the community of Panagia could not tackle this alone.
The insurance at the time put us onto another company to try and rebuild the church, but they just couldn't do it within the budget that we had and the monies that were available at the time with the donations and the insurance settlement. And that's where Larry comes in.
It was Friday morning, it was raining a lot. Being in construction business, I was always an early bird. I would always listen to CFRB news in the morning. There is a devastating fire in the west end of the city. He says, it is a Greek Orthodox church. I said, oh my God. So I immediately make a right turn. In 20 minutes or so, I made it down. I approached the Archbishop and I said, Your Eminence, don't worry, we are going to rebuild it.
The Mercopoulos family and Larry Mercopoulos took on the project of reconstructing this cathedral.
Larry was a godsend. This project had so many different challenges, so many different facets. And from the moment Larry came on board with his company Horizon, everything just seemed to become simple.
Larry Mercopoulos, along with his two brothers, Nick and Steve, were already well known in the Toronto construction space. Hailing from Greece, the three brothers quickly gained notoriety through their construction company, Horizon General Contractors, and since immigrating in 1969, Panagia held a special place in the family's hearts.
Larry was very passionate for the church, obviously, and especially that one there.
You must have been in that church hundreds of times.
Literally hundreds of times for my wedding, baptisms, Mike's wedding.
So many families that have been baptized here, got married here, said goodbye to their loved ones from this parish.
It's very dear to us, and again, it's foundational to our community, foundational to our faith, and now foundational to our family as well.
Definitely a very special place, and certainly, in my dad's words, a labor of love for him. It was a project that he gave everything he had to.
The honor of rebuilding a church is only given to a very few individuals. I really felt that God put the right people in the right positions at the right time.
It was my first visit here. I will never forget. We only had a temporary roof and, of course, brick walls around, totally bare. So we walked down in the basement and, of course, the first impression is, where do you start? How are you going to rebuild something like this?
The restoration process offered the opportunity to make significant changes to the design of the cathedral. The building was originally constructed as a Protestant church. Thus, some of the previous design elements conflicted with the Greek Orthodox tradition.
We were, again, very fortunate with our design team, Chris Kamadis and the consultants, and all our subcontractors.
So one of the first ideas that was floated by our architect and by Larry is, what do you think about changing the altar so it's going to face east the way it should be?
The way the cathedral was oriented was that it did not face east. Orthodox churches, normally, they face east or easterly, where the rising sun is. They said, well, we're going to look at some options, keeping it the way it is, and we're going to look at some options, turning it around.
And so we thought about it and says, yeah, we've got the chance now to do it right, and we did.
The most notable and meaningful changes included the eastward reorientation of the narthex and altar, increasing the size of the dome roof, and contracting an artist to hand-carve the wooden icon screen, or the iconostasis.
Father Peter and Costa and the community, and certainly the contractor, were all cheerleaders because they wanted to see this building, this edifice, move more towards the east and more towards the roots of the faith. And so that was never a challenge. The more challenge was to how do you do it within that structure, and that was the big challenge.
We spared no expense when it came to things that we knew would have a lasting impact for tens of years, if not hundreds of years.
Anything we needed. Everything was sort of working like a Swiss clock. Larry and his people managed to get all of the tradespeople that came in and worked here to love and respect this place.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. And the idea of what we were trying to do with this building is tell the truth and move towards the God's light. We were able to sort of take the Orthodox spirit of life and ethos and breathe it into that building.
The project forged ahead at a remarkable pace. And only 10 months after beginning the restoration, the new 14-ton steel frame for the dome was ready to be lifted into place.
This was a special day for members of the Greek community, some even in tears as they watched the dome being lifted up.
It's a great day, it's a historic day, and it's a very emotional day.
They're tears of joy. 2 years ago, they were tears of sorrow. But in the Greek tradition, between sorrow and joy, there's a very fine line. And so today, indeed, is a day of much happiness.
This monumental milestone gave the cathedral the largest Greek Orthodox dome in North America. But despite the celebration, there was no slowing down.
And all of us, had tears in our eyes because it was the renaissance and the rebirth of an incredibly beautiful place.
Then when you see it happening, that everything falls in place, all the trades work one after the other, full cooperation, excellent workmanship and so on, we managed towards the end of May to be able to really now start planning the opening.
The final pieces were falling into place, including the new wooden iconostasis, which took 6 master carvers 10,000 man-hours to complete. All of the original artwork, plus new artwork, was set into place. One of these pieces was made possible thanks to a generous donation from the Mercopoulos family.
The quality of people that surround us and the motivation that they maintained during the project, it kept us going. We did many projects and so on, of course, ups and downs and so on and so forth. Yeah, you're a little bit late, you spend a little bit more. So this year was different. This year, everything fell in place.
Larry and his team had such a good understanding of the grain of the community, and as well as the craft of the building. So when you have those kinds of things put together, you end up coming up with something unique and something special, and deservedly so, because this had a legacy in the community and a presence and a persona.
Miraculously, only 18 months after the devastating fire, the cathedral was ready to reopen.
A joyous time tonight for Toronto's Greek community. Its historic West End church was rededicated after 2 years of rebuilding.
This evening, a special dedication ceremony was performed by His Eminence Metropolitan Archbishop Soterios, head of the Greek Orthodox Church in Canada.
What it means for the Greek community at large is rebirth, resurrection, rising from the ashes. It's a day of celebration.
Nothing more satisfying than seeing how much it meant to the people blessed to be able to enjoy services in this beautiful cathedral now.
A beautiful project that the Greek community is proud of.
Something special was happening here from day one that we got involved here. Not only us, but the entire team, and of course the leadership, the church, the community, and so on.
He embraced that image and the vision that we had for how we wanted to rebuild the church, and he ran with it. And we're so grateful that he did.
Rising from the ashes, this remarkable restoration now stands as a breathtaking and rousing representation of how a community can steel itself in its most somber hour. Displaying the original artwork salvaged from the flames, exhibiting the largest Greek Orthodox dome in North America, and reorienting the church eastward to bring it back in line with the Greek Orthodox tradition. This astonishing feat could not have been possible without the dedicated work of all those involved. Panagia has once again become a profound spiritual center for the community, and thanks to the relentless commitment of everyone who lent their hand, the restored Cathedral of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Panagia, will continue to be a beacon for this community and a testament to the Greek Orthodox resilience for decades to come.